Peace and love, Shabbat Shalom. I'm going to be reading from the book of Genesis, chapter 21 through 24. Bear with me as I try to get through this, y'all willing. The book of Genesis, chapter 21, verse 1. And Yahuwah visited Sarah as he had said, and Yahuwah did for Sarah as he had spoken. So this is the Most High doing what he said he would do. Verse 2. So Sarah conceived and bore Abraham Sarah conceived and bore Abraham a son in his old age, at the appointed time of which Elohim had spoken to him. Verse 3. And Abraham called the name of his son who was born to him, whom Sarah bore to him, Yishak, meaning Isaac. Verse 4. And Abraham circumcised his son Yishak when he was 8 days old, as Elohim had commanded him. Verse 5. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yishak was born to him. 100 years old. Verse 6. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me laugh, and everyone who hears of it laughs with me. So this was laughable, the thought of, giving birth to a child at such an old age. Sarah was in her 90s. Abraham was 100. So I don't know how exact. It doesn't give the details of this conception as far as, this is nothing short of a miracle. This is nothing short of a miracle. Nothing is too miraculous for the Most High to make happen. So for them to bear a child at their old age is nothing short of a miracle, man. You can't, we have to put this in that category of miracles for them to, for Abraham and Sarah to bear a child, in such an old age. To the point, it was obviously something not common, because it was laughable to Sarah. Sarah, she pretty much, she found it, to be miraculous as well. To the point she couldn't believe it at first when she first laughed, and the Most High had to ask, why did she laugh? Do she know what I do? Do she know who I am? Do she know that I'm him? I am the one who creates, the one who makes everything happen, that makes things happen, whatever happened. So this is her acknowledging her laughter now, because at first she was denying that she was laughing. Remember when the Most High asked Abraham, why did she laugh? She denied it at first, like I didn't. Like she denied it, like I didn't laugh, and he's like, yes, you did. You did laugh, though, but you did laugh. So now she's acknowledging that she found it laughable. This is the book of Genesis, chapter 21, verse 5. And Abraham was 100 years old when his son Yishak was born to him. Verse 6. And Sarah said, Elohim has made me laugh, and everyone who hears of it laughs with me. Because everyone who hears of it, they wouldn't believe it. They would find it laughable. You know what I mean? They will find it laughable for her to, have a child at, at her age. Verse 8. And the child grew and was weaned, and Abraham made a great feast on the day that Yishak was weaned. Now, that great feast may be considered of what people do nowadays, celebrate birthdays. So this great feast that Abraham celebrated, this great feast that Abraham, orchestrated, could be seen as a birthday, in a sense. In a sense, it could be seen as a birthday because it says, and the child grew and was weaned. And Abraham made a great feast on the day that Yishak was weaned. So whatever weaned, I'm not sure what exactly that means. What does weaned mean? What does wean mean exactly? Forgive me for not knowing what that means. Let me see. Verse 8. Yeah, I gotta look that up. If anyone has answers, what that means, weaned mean, when a child is weaned, when he weaned them off of the breast milk, I'm not sure. But on that day when the child was weaned, Abraham felt the need to have a great feast, as if, it was a birthday in a sense. Not to justify birthdays, but this is the closest thing this is the closest, you're going to get to a birthday at such a young age in the scriptures. And I'm going to mark that because that's interesting. Anything interesting like that in the scriptures, I try to, keep a marking of it. But yeah, whatever a child, whatever it means for a child to be weaned, I'm trying to figure that out. Anyone has answers, that'll help. I'm, my apologies for not knowing that. But whenever Isaac was weaned, on the day that he was weaned, Abraham felt the need to have this great feast. And you can look at it in the sense of nowadays, like what they would do with a birthday for a kid. Verse 9, and Sarah saw the son of Hagar, the Mizraim, whom she had born to Abraham, mocking. So now the kids being kids, brothers being brothers, you have Ishmael mocking Isaac. For what reason, I don't know. It doesn't specify why Ishmael was mocking Isaac or how he was mocking Isaac, but Sarah seen that Ishmael was mocking Isaac. And yeah, she had issues with that. Verse 10. So she said to Abraham, drive out this female servant and her son, for the son of this female servant shall not inherit with my son, with Yishak. So now Sarah Sarah wants Hagar and her son Ishmael gone. Now that she has a son of her own, she wants them gone. She don't want them to have any inheritance. You know, she don't want nothing to do with them. Now that she has a child of her own, she wants them out of the picture. Verse 11. And the matter was very evil in the eyes of Abraham because of his son. So Abraham didn't agree with that. Abraham didn't agree with putting away, you know, putting away his child. Sarah wanted them gone. Sarah wanted not only Hagar, her female servant, gone, the Mitzrayim, the Egyptian, but she also wanted the son of Hagar and the son of Abraham, who she bore to Abraham for Sarah. She wanted them both gone. And Abraham, like, yo, this, like, why would you even think of something like that, basically? And he's probably thinking, like, what would make you think of something like that? What would make you think of something like that? And the matter was very evil in the eyes of Abraham because of his son. Verse 12, but God said to Abraham, let it not be evil in your eyes because of the boy and because of your female servant. Whatever Sarah has said to you, listen to her voice, for Yishak, your seed, is called. So Yishak is the one that was called. Isaac was the one that was called. So she's like, you know, the Most High put the stamp on it. Most High, like, man, like, let it be. Don't look at it that way. Don't look at it as evil because of him being your child and being, you know, the mother of your child. You know, Most High is telling Abraham, like, don't look at it in that way. Verse 13. And of the son of female, verse 13. And of the son of the female servant, I also make a nation, because he is your seed. Verse 14. And Abraham rose early in the morning and took bread and a skin of water, which he gave to Hagar, putting it on her shoulder, also the boy, and sent her away. And she left and wandered in the wilderness of Beersheba. Now, mind you, the Most High said this to Hagar too. So Hagar is not really freaking out or panicking or, you know, making a fuss about it, because the Most High explained this to Hagar herself. The Most High explained how he's going to make a nation out of Ishmael. So Hagar she's not really sweating the decision of Sarah, because she already knew that that was the will of the Most High. That was the will of God, for them to separate, for them to go their way, for them to go, you know, and be separated. Verse 15. And the water in the skin was used up, and she placed the boy under one of the shrubs. Verse 16. And she went and sat down about a bow shot away, for she said, let me not see the death of the boy. And she sat opposite him and lifted up her voice and wept. Hold up, I'm sorry. So I jumped the gun. I believe this may be where this may be where she I, I'm pretty sure that she had an encounter with the Most High. She had an encounter with the Most High, and the Most High had to, explain to her, how he's going to, how he's going to make a child. He's going to make Ishmael into a great nation. One second. I could have sworn he said that to maybe this is where he says that to her. Yeah. So yeah, I jumped the gun because this is where he's gonna, you know, assure Hagar that, you know, she would be taken care of, you know, if that wasn't already explained to her by Abraham. I'm sure Abraham explained this to her, that the Most High has plans for Ishmael. But this is where she's gonna hear it from the Most High himself. And she went and sat down about a bow shot away, for she said, "Let me not see the death of the boy." And she sat opposite him and lifted her voice and wept. And Elohim heard the voice of the boy. And the messenger of Elohim called to Hagar from the heavens and said to her, "What is the matter with you, Hagar? Do not fear, for Elohim has heard the voice of the boy where he is." So the Most High heard the voice of Ishmael. He heard the voice of Ishmael, and that's what made him answer, because Ishmael is the seed of Abraham. So he heard the voice of Ishmael and answered the mother to, calm the mother down, like, yo, you there's no need to fear. Verse 18, "Arise, lift up the boy and hold him with your hand, for I make a great nation of him." So this is where the Most High disclosed to, assures Hagar that he's going to make a great nation of Ishmael. Verse 19, "Elohim opened her eyes, and she saw a well of water." How about that? "And she went and filled the skin with water and gave the boy a drink." Come on, man. Come on. I just thought of something like, the Most High is the master of the pixel. Like you have most people believe that we live in like what is that, a simulation? If so, like, the Most High is the creator of it. The Most High is the master of it, and it's like it's like a game of Sims, or some whatever game you could think of. Your game character needs this, and it pops up in the game all of a sudden. Like, the Most High is capable of this. So Hagar needed water. She closes her eyes. She opens her eyes. Next thing you know, there's a well of water. And you have to believe that the Most High is capable of bringing to existence whatever it is that we truly need. You have to live. You have to live. You have to live in this belief. You have to get you. That should be your goal to get to the point of living in this form of belief, this level of belief. Verse 20. And Elohim was with the boy, and he grew and dwelt in the wilderness, and became an archer. So Ishmael became an archer and dwelt in the wilderness. Verse 21. And he dwelt in the wilderness of Paran, and his mother took a wife. And his mother took a wife for him from the land of Mizraim. So Ishmael, Hagar took a wife for Ishmael from Egypt, from the land of Mizraim, which is Egypt. She was an Egyptian herself. Hagar was an Egyptian herself, so she went and found a wife for her son Ishmael, the son of Abraham. She went to find an Egyptian wife for him. And this is interesting, you know? So Ishmael was 100%, you know, he was 75%. I want to say Ishmael was 50% Mizraim, 50% Egyptian. And, you know, so his child that he will have with this Mizraim wife of his will be 75%. Verse 22. And it came to be at the time that Abimelech and Pekol, the commander of his army, spoke to Abraham, saying, Elohim is with you in all that you do. Verse 23. And now swear to me by Elohim not to be untrue to me, to my offspring, or to my descendants. Do to me according to the loving commitment that I have done to you and to the land in which you have dwelt. Verse 24. And Abraham said, I swear. Verse 25. And Abraham reproved Abimelech because of a well of water which Abimelech's servants had seized. Verse 26. And Abimelech said, I do not know who has done this deed. Neither did you inform me, nor did I hear until today. Verse 27. So Abraham took sheep and cattle and gave them to Abimelech, and the two of them made a covenant. Verse 28. And Abraham set 7 ewe lambs of the flock by themselves. Verse 29. And Abimelech asked Abraham, what are these 7 ewe lambs which you have set by themselves? Verse 30. And he said, take these 7 ewe lambs from my hand, to be my witness that I have dug this well. Verse 31. So he called that place Beersheba, because the two of them swore an oath there. Verse 32. Thus they made a covenant at Beersheba, and Abimelech rose with Pekol, the commander of his army, and they returned to the land of the Philistines. Verse 33. And he planted a tamarisk tree in Beersheba, and there called on the name of Yahuwah, the everlasting El. So he's been calling on the name of Yah, calling on the name of Yahuwah, the everlasting El. Verse 34. And Abraham sojourned in the land of the Philistines many days. Chapter 22, verse 1. So Abraham, I'm wonder if he had, before I move on, I wonder if he had Sarah with him in these journeys, like doing what he's doing. I don't know if he had Sarah and Isaac with him. Verse 22. And it came to be after these events that Elohim tried Abraham and said to him, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Verse 2. And he said, Take your son, now, your only son Yishak, whom you love, and go to the land of Moriah, and offer him there as an ascending offering on one of the mountains which I command you. Verse 3. And Abraham rose early in the morning and saddled his donkey and took 2 of his young men with him and Yishak his son. And he split the wood for the ascending offering and arose and went to the place which Elohim had commanded him. Verse 4. And on the 3rd day, Abraham lifted his eyes and saw the place from a distance. Verse 5. So Abraham said to his young men, Stay here with the donkey while the boy and I go over there and worship and come back to you. Verse 6. And Abraham took the wood of the ascending offering and laid it on Yishak his son. And he took the fire in his hand and a knife, and the two of them went together. Verse 7. And Yishak spoke to Abraham his father and said, My father. And he said, Here I am, my son. And he said, See the fire and the wood, but where is the lamb for the ascending offering? So Yishak was old enough to understand, what was being done, to understand the offerings, and he had knowledge of the offering and how an offering was prepared and what was needed, the items needed in the offering, the components. To the point he trying to piece it together like what something is missing. Where the offering? Like, where's this lamb? Not knowing that he's the lamb. Verse 8. And Abraham said, My son, Elohim does provide for himself the lamb for an ascending offering. And the 2 of them went together. Verse 9. And man, that's super tough. Verse 9. And they came to the place which Elohim had commanded him. And Abraham built a slaughter place there and placed the wood in order. And he bound Yishak his son and laid him on the slaughter place upon the wood. Verse 10. And Abraham stretched out his hand and took the knife to slay his son. Like, Abraham was all for this. Like, just Abraham was all for this, just due to it being something that the Most High requested. Verse 11. But the messenger of Yahuwah called to him from the heavens and said, Abraham, Abraham. And he said, Here I am. Verse 12. And he said, Do not lay your hand on the boy, nor touch him. For now I know that you fear Elohim, seeing you have not withheld your son, your only son, from me. So this is the messenger speaking for the Most High and telling Abraham, I was just basically I was just playing. I was just testing. I was just seeing how far you would go, if you will actually do it or not. Verse 13, and Abraham lifted his eyes and looked and saw behind him a ram caught in a bush by its horns. And Abraham went and took the ram and up offered it up for an ascending offering instead of his son. Verse 14, and Abraham called the name of the place Yahuwah Yireh, as it is said to this day, on the mountain Yahuwah provides. Verse 15, and the messenger of Yahuwah called to Abraham a second time from the heavens. So Yahuwah provides. I like that name. Before I move on, like I gotta acknowledge that. Like, and Abraham called the name of the place Yahuwah Yireh. Yahuwah Yireh. Yahuwah Yireh. As it is said to this day, on the mountain Yahuwah provides. So Yahuwah Yireh may be, this clearly means Yahuwah provides. And where's my pen? Where's my marker and pen so I can mark? Excuse me. Like, I just had that pen. Like, what's going on? How am I tripping? I just had this brown pen. Where could it possibly be so I can mark Yahuwah Yireh? Here it is. Yahuwah Yireh. Yahuwah provides. This is what Yahuwah Yireh means. And I've heard that before. I didn't know what it meant, but carefully reading, and as many times as I've read these scriptures, I've overlooked that part. So Yahuwah Yireh means Yahuwah provides. Yahuwah Yireh. Yes, he does. Verse 15, and the messenger of Yahuwah called to Abraham a second time from the heavens. Verse 16, and said, by myself I have sworn, declares Yahuwah, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son. Verse 17, that I shall certainly bless you, and I shall certainly increase your seed as the stars of the heavens and as the sand which is on the seashore. And let your seed possess the gate of their enemies. Verse 18, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice. So all the nations of the earth are blessed through Abraham. This is just how it is. Verse 19, then Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba. And Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Now, let me, if I'm not mistaken, Beersheba is where Hagar and them headed, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see. Let me just make sure. Because when he sent them on their way, yeah, in the wilderness of Beersheba. So Abraham pretty much was, he pretty much was making stops. That was his way to make a stop to see. I believe in them other books. I believe in the other writings. He was stopping to see Ishmael. And I think he seen Ishmael and wasn't a he wasn't he didn't approve of the wife of Ishmael. And it may have been because she was a misrayim, like she was a misright. If I'm not mistaken, he visited Ishmael and didn't approve of the wife, and basically because she had, she was basically irresponsible or whatever. It was something that he didn't know. It was something off about her, and he wanted her to be replaced. He recommended that Ishmael Abraham recommended that Ishmael find another wife, replace the wife that Hagar, you know, appointed to him. So this is all tying that all together, because Beersheba is exactly where they were at. They were in the wilderness of Beersheba, and this is where Abraham ended up. So he was likely visiting. Then Abraham returned to his young men, and they rose up and went together to Beersheba, and Abraham dwelt at Beersheba. Verse 20, and it came to be after these events that it was reported to Abraham, saying, see, Milcah too has borne children to your brother Nahor. Verse 21, Utz his firstborn, and Buz his brother, and Quemiel the father of Aram. Verse 22, and Kesed, and Hazo, and Pildash, and Yildoth, and Bethuel. Verse 23, and Bethuel brought forth Ribkah. These 8 Milcah bore to Nahor, Abraham's brother. So he's finding out that his brother, he's finding out that he has nephews now. Verse 24, and his concubine, whose name was Rehumah, also bore Teba, and Gaham, and Tahash, and Ma'akah. Chapter 23, verse 1. And Sarah lived 127 years, the years of the life of Sarah. Verse 2, and Sarah died in Kiriath Arba, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. And Abraham came to mourn for Sarah and to weep for her. So in the other writings, I remember reading Sarah being, being deceived by the enemy. That, the enemy was telling her that Isaac was dead, that Isaac was unalive. And she was so heartbroken that she pretty much had a heart attack, in a sense. You could say that she had a heart attack of how heartbroken she was of the false news. And I believe that, the enemy made Sarah believe this lie through like rumors, just like rumors start, just like lies and false witnessing and false reports are made up and conjured up, and they spread like wildfire. That's the enemy is the root of the lies. The root of all lies is the enemy, man. He's the father of lies. So anything that's false, anything that's not true, the enemy is the father of it. He's the root of it. He's the source of the lies. The enemy is the source of lies, yo. So where any and all lies that come about, the enemy is the source of it. Any and all lies ever told, ever brought up, ever, the enemy was the source of it and still is. And I believe that's, this from based on what I've read in the books that were taken out. That's what led to Sarah having this, what one can believe, one can only believe, a heart attack, thinking that Ishmael was no longer alive. Then Abraham rose up from beside his dead and spoke to the sons of Heth, saying, verse 4, I am a foreigner and a sojourner among you. Give me property for a burial site among you, so that I bury my dead from my presence. And this is how I figured out how old. This is how I figured out how old Ishmael was. I'm sorry. This is how I figured out how old Yishak was, Isaac was, based on the age of Sarah when she died, and her age when she had him. Because she was 27 when she died, right? And she was 10 years younger than Abraham, who they both had Yishak when he was 100. So Abraham was 37. I'm sorry. Ishak, Isaac was 37 when Sarah, his mother Sarah, died. Isaac was 37. $37.38. Verse 5, and the sons of Heth answered Abraham, saying to him, verse 6, hear us, my master. You are a prince of Elohim among us. Bury your dead in the choicest of our burial sites. None of us withholds from you his burial site from burying your dead. Verse 7, so Abraham rose and bowed himself to the people of the land, the sons of Heth. Verse 8, and he spoke with them, saying, if it is your desire that I bury my dead from my presence, hear me, and approach Ephron, son of Zerah, for me. Verse 9, and let me have the cave of Machpelah, which he has, which is at the end of his field. Let him give it to me for the complete amount of silver, a property for a burial site among you. This is rough, man. Verse 10, and Ephraim dwelt among the sons of Heth, and Ephraim the Hittite answered Abraham in the hearing of the sons of Heth, all who enter at the gate of his city, saying, verse 11, no, my master, listen to me. I shall give you the field and the cave that is in it. I shall give it to you in the presence of the sons of my people. I shall give it to you. Bury your dead. Verse 12, and Abraham bowed himself down before the people of the land. Verse 13, and he spoke to Ephron in the hearing of the people of the land, saying, if only you would hear me, I shall give the amount of silver for the field. Take it from me, and let me bury my dead there. So it's like Abraham wasn't trying to take or accept anything free. Verse 14, and Ephron answered Abraham, saying to him, verse 15, my master, listen to me. The land is worth 400 shekels of silver. What is that between you and me? Sorry, bury your dead. Verse 16, and Abraham listened to Ephron, and Abraham weighed out the silver for Ephron, which he had named in the hearing of the sons of Heth, 100 shekels of silver, currency of the merchants. Verse 17, thus the field of Ephron, which was in Machpelah, which was before Mamre, the field and the cave which was in it, and all the trees that were in the field, which were within all the surrounding borders, were deeded. He heard the price and was like, yo, he gave his price in front of witnesses. So Abraham, okay, y'all heard the price. He's trying to give it to me. He's implying that I should take it for free, but y'all heard that he has a price, and y'all going to also not only, hear that price, but also watch me pay this price, this 400 shekels of silver. He didn't want it for free. He wanted to pay his way. And he didn't want anyone to say that they gave something to him or gave something to his people. He wanted everything, all credit to be to the Most High. Verse 18, to Abraham as a possession so it was deeded. It says they were deeded. Everything that was just named were deeded to Abraham as a possession in the presence of the sons of Heth, before all who went in at the gate of his city. Verse 19, and after this, Abraham buried Sarah, his wife, in the cave of the field of Machpelah, before Mamre, that is Hebron, in the land of Canaan. Verse 20, thus the field and the cave that is in it were deeded to Abraham by the sons of Heth as property for a burial site. So he had the deed to the property, 400 shekels of silver. Chapter 24, verse 1. And Abraham was old, advanced in years, and Yahuwah had blessed Abraham in every way. Verse 2, and Abraham said to the oldest servant of his house, who ruled over all that he had, please put your hand under my thigh. Verse 3, so that I make you swear by Yahuwah, the Elohim of the heavens and the Elohim of the earth, that you do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, among whom I dwell. So he didn't want his son to take a daughter of the Canaanites. So it was a thing to take an oath with your hand under the thigh of who you took an oath to. Verse 4, but go to my land and to my relatives and take a wife for my son Yishak. Verse 5, and the servant said to him, what if the woman refuses to follow me to this day? Do I then take your son back to the land from which you came? So the servant was worried if, the woman refused or not. Verse 6, and Abraham said to him, beware lest you take my son back there. Verse 7, Yahuwah Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to your seed I give this land. He sends his messenger before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. So he didn't want his son to go back. Yeah, he didn't want his son to go back to this land. He just wanted his servant to go find a wife from this land. He didn't want his son to go back to his land. That would be going backwards. That's interesting. Like the decisions of Abraham was very interesting, man. Like you like this was a man of great principle, moral, and dignity. You know, wise pride, not foolish pride, wise pride. To the point he wouldn't accept nothing for free. He wouldn't accept nothing that wasn't his. I believe he didn't accept the spoil that that was collected when he went and took those kings to war in order to get his nephew Lot back. And we see that he didn't accept this field for free. He paid his way, 400 shekels of silver. And now, he's we see that he's letting his servant know, like, man, I don't want my son going backwards. The Most High promised to my seed this land. And this is where we will be moving forward and going to, not going backwards. But you can find a wife for him from there. Verse 7, Yahuwah Elohim of the heavens, who took me from my father's house and from the land of my relatives, and who spoke to me and swore to me, saying, to your seed I give this land. He sends his messengers before you, and you shall take a wife for my son from there. So he's letting the servant know that the Most High is sending his messengers before him, so he can go handle that and to find his son and wife. Verse 8, and if the woman refuses to follow you, then you shall be released from this oath. Only do not take my son back there. Verse 9, then the servant put his hand under the thigh of Abraham his master and swore to him concerning this matter. Verse 10, and the servant took 10 of his master's camels and left, for all his master's good gifts were in his hand. And he arose and went to Aram Naharaim, to the city of Nahar. Verse 11, and he made his camels kneel down outside the city by a fountain of water at evening time, the time when women go out to draw water. Verse 12, so he knew that this was the time that women go out to draw water. That's one thing, that's a key, that's something to key in on. He knew when there will be women in the time that they'll be out there. So this was his opportunity. Verse 12, and he said, Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please cause her to meet before me this day, and show loving commitment to my master Abraham. Verse 13, see, I am standing here by the fountain of water, and the daughters of the men of the city are coming out to draw water. This is the conversation he's having with Elohim, I believe, the Most High. Verse 14, now let it be that the young woman to whom I say, please let down your jar to let me drink. And she says, drink and let me water your camels too. Let her be the one whom you have appointed for your servant Yishak, Isaac. And let me know by this day, and let me know by this that you have shown loving commitment to my master. Verse 15, and it came to be. So this was the plan. Before I move forward, this was the plan by the servant of Abraham. Like, this is how I would know this woman is for, Isaac. If she asks to water my camels. I already know that this is the time when women come out to get water. Now, to see which one is for Isaac, I need to hear this. And this is what he asked the Most High for him to hear in order for him to make a decision. Verse 15, and it came to be before he had ended speaking that, see, Ribkah, who was born to Bethuel, son of Milcah, the wife of Nahor, Abraham's brother, came out with her jar on her head. Her jar on her shoulders. Verse 16, and the young woman was very good looking, a maiden, no man having known her, and she went down to the fountain, filled her jar, and came up. So that she was a maiden, she was a virgin, very good looking young woman. Verse 17, and the servant ran to meet her and said, please let me drink a little water from your jar. So this is what he's starting, he asked the question, the servant. Verse 18, and she said, drink my master. And she hurried and let her jar down to her hand and gave him a drink. Verse 19, and when she had finished giving him a drink, she said, let me draw water for your camels too until they have finished drinking. only the Most High, man. Like, verse 20. So she did exactly as he was seeking the woman to do, so that servant can make his decision to decide who's going to be the wife of Isaac. And she did exactly she did exactly what the servant asked the Most High to be a sign, so he'll know. Verse 20, and she hurried and emptied her jar into the trough, ran back to the fountain to draw water, and drew for all his camels. Verse 21, and watching her, the man remained silent in order to know whether Yahuwah had prospered his way or not. Verse 22, and it came to be, when the camels had finished drinking, that the man took a golden nose ring weighing half a shekel, and 2 bracelets for her wrists weighing 10 shekels of gold. Verse 23, and said, whose daughter are you? Please inform me. Is there room in your father's house for us to spend the night? Verse 24, and she said to him, I am the daughter of Bethuel, Michal's son, whom she bore to Nahor. Verse 25, and she said to him, we have both straw and fodder enough. We have but I'm sorry. She said to him, we have both straw and fodder enough, and room to spend the night. Verse 26, and the man bowed down his head and said, and the man bowed down his head and worshiped Yahuwah. Because that was his answer. That was what he was seeking. This is who he was, this is the woman he was seeking for Yishak. She revealed herself. Young woman, we already see that she was a young woman. We already see that she was a virgin. And we see that Isaac was now in his is now 37. Verse 27, and he said, blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of my master Abraham, who has not forsaken his loving commitment, and his truth toward my master. As for me being on the way, Yahuwah led me to the house of my master's brothers. Verse 28, then the young woman ran and informed those of her mother's house these matters. Verse 29, and Ribkah had a brother whose name was Laban. And Laban ran out to the man, to the fountain. Like, bro had to go see who this man was, like, checking out his sister, like, giving his sister gold. He had to know what was going on, looking out for his sister. Verse 30, and it came to be when he saw the nose ring and the bracelet on his sister's wrist, and when he heard the words of his sister's Ribkah, saying, thus the man spoke to me, that he went to the man and saw him standing by the camels at the fountain. Like, dude, who is you giving my sister this? Like, verse 31, and he said, come in, O blessed of Yahuwah. Why do you stand outside? I myself have prepared the house and place for the camels. So who knows, where this love was coming from? Like, maybe he started to show him love because of the gifts, which is good. I mean, which is okay. Is it because of the gifts that he was showing love? Or if he came empty-handed, it wouldn't be the same outcome. So this just shows you, like, you have to come correct when you're asking the hand of someone's daughter, when you're asking the hand of someone's sister, when you're asking the hand, for a woman to be your wife. You gotta come correct, man. You gotta be well taken care of and show that you are capable of taking care of her. If you were to take her from under the house that takes care of her, if you were to take her from under the roof that takes care of her, you have to show and prove that you could take care of her from this point on. Super tough in the economy like we have today. But super necessary, man. To this day, super necessary. Like, so who knows if the brother was like treating this man with, with respect because, he came correct. Like, he laced his sister with gold wrist and a gold nose. Like, that's all he needed to see. Like, all right, I hear you. Verse 32, so the man came into the house while he unloaded the camels and provided straw and fodder for the camels and water to wash his feet and the feet of the men who were with him. Verse 33, and set food before, so he had men with him. This would have been considered creepy in the world today. You know, a man with other men, you know, having conversation with a young woman, asking where she lives, asking can he spend the night. You know how strange that would be to ask nowadays. Minds are so corrupt. You know, the minds are so corrupt nowadays that people are so corrupt. The minds are so corrupt. Everyone's heads are in the gutter. Verse 33, and set food before him to eat, but he said, let me not eat until I have spoken my word. And he said, speak on. Verse 34, and he said, I am Abraham's servant. Verse 35, and Yahuwah has blessed my master exceedingly, and he has become great. And he has given him flock and herds, and silver and gold, and male and female servants, and camels and donkeys. So he's explaining all that he has that could provide for Rivkah. Verse 36, and Sarah, my master's wife, bore a son to my master when she was old, and he has given to him all that he has. Verse 37, and my master made me swear, saying, do not take a wife for my son from the daughters of the Canaanites, in whose land I dwell. Verse 38, but go to my father's house and to my relatives and take a wife for my son. Verse 39, and I said to my master, what if the woman does not follow me? Verse 40, but he said to me, Yahuwah, before whom I walk, sends his messenger with you, and shall prosper your way. And you shall take a wife for my son from my relatives and from my father's house. Verse 41, then when you go to my relatives, you are to be released from this oath. And if they do not give her to you, then you are released from my oath. Verse 42, and this day I came to the fountain and said, Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, please, if you are prospering the way in which I am going. Verse 43, see, I am standing by the fountain of water. And when the young woman comes out to draw water, and I say to her, please give me a little water from your jar to drink. Verse 44, and she says to me, drink, and let me draw for your camels too. Let her be the woman whom Yahuwah has appointed for my master's son. So he's explaining to them, you know, the conversation he had with the Most High and how it played out. Verse 45, I had not yet ended speaking in my heart. Then see, Rivkah was coming out with her jar on her shoulder, and she went down to the mountain. She went down to the fountain and drew water. And I said to her, please let me drink. Verse 46, and she hurried and let her jar down from her shoulder and said, drink, and let me water your camels too. So I drank, and she watered the camels too. Verse 47, and I asked her and said, whose daughter are you? And she said, the daughter of Bethlehem, Nahar's son, whom Micah bore to him. Then I put the nose ring on her nose and the bracelet on her wrist. Verse 48, and I bowed my head and worshiped Yahuwah and blessed Yahuwah, Elohim of my master Abraham, who had led me in the true way to take the daughter of my master's brother for his son. Verse 49, and now, if you are going to show loving commitment and truth to my master, let me know, and if not, let me know, so that I turn to the right or to the left. Verse 50, and Laban answered, Bethuel too, and said, he said, and Laban answered, Bethuel too, and said, the matter comes from Yahuwah. We are not able to speak to you either evil or good. So he was like, they were, the brother was like, he was caught in between the situation. Like he was like, in a sense, he's like, he didn't agree, I guess, because this is his sister. And in another sense, he's like, how could he not agree with the Most High if it's the Most High's decision? Verse 51, see, Rivkah is before you. Take her and go, and let her be your master's son's wife, as Yahuwah has spoken. Verse 52, and it came to be when Abraham's servant heard their words that he bowed himself towards the earth before Yahuwah. Verse 53, and the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments and gave them to Rivkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. Verse 54, and he and the men who were with him ate and drank. So, before I move on, it appears that Rivkah only had a brother and a mother. So there was no father to approve of this. There was only a brother and a mother, and he looked out for them. He tightened them up too, And the servant brought out ornaments of silver and ornaments of gold and garments and gave them to Rivkah. So that's what he gave to Rivkah. He also gave costly gifts to her brother and to her mother. So all she had was her brother and her mother. Verse 54, and he and the men who were with him ate and drank and spent the night. When they arose in the morning, he said, let me go to my master. Verse 55, but her brother and her mother said, let the young woman stay with us a few days, at least 10. Then you go. So they're calling her a young woman, like they didn't want to see her go for real, for real. Yes, your gifts are nice, sir, but this is our young sister. This is my young sister. This is my young daughter. Like well, I don't want, they're not trying to hurry her out the door. Verse 56, and he said to them, do not delay me, since Yahuwah has prospered my way. Let me go so that I go to my master. Verse 57, and they said, let us call the young woman and ask her. Verse 58, so they called Rivkah and said to her, are you going with this man? And she said, I shall go. Like the gifts given was proof of financial security, financial stability. So she felt safe, and a woman has to feel safe in order for her to proceed. Woman has to feel safe in order to trust that that she's financially secure, and she has to know that before she makes the decision to be with someone for the rest of her life, like as their wife. Women have to be sure of this, and she was sure of it, so she let it be. The servant provided her, not only her, with gifts to show that there's financial security, but he provided the brother and the mother with gifts to show that there's financial security where she's going, financial stability where she's going. Verse 59, so they let go Rivkah, their sister, and her nurse, and Abraham's servant and his men. So she had a nurse. She had a nurse, appointed nurse that went along with her. Verse 60, and they blessed Ribkah and said to her, let our sister become the mother of thousands of 10,000s, and let your seed possess the gates of those who hate them. So this was being said a lot, It's the second time I heard this. Verse 61, and Ribkah and her young woman arose, and they rode on the camels and followed the man. So the servant took Ribkah and left. So Ribkah had her own servant, it says a young woman, probably her age or younger, that I'm guessing was her nurse, to be there for her. And women need this, man. Women need this, but can't afford this. A woman can only wish that she had another woman she could trust, or another woman she can rely on. Verse 62, and Yishak came from the way of Ber Lahai Roi, for he dwelt in the south. Verse 63, and Yishak went out to meditate in the field in the evening. And he lifted his eyes and looked and saw the camels coming. So we see that Isaac was one who meditated in the evening. I had to leave that mark on that. Verse 65, and she had said to the servant, who is this man walking in the field to meet us? And the servant said, it is my master. So she took a veil and covered herself. Verse 66, and the servant told Yishak all the matters he had done. Verse 67, and Yishak brought her into his mother's Sarah's tent. And he took Ribkah, and she became his wife, and he loved her. Thus Yishak was comforted after his mother's death. So this was something that comforted Isaac, after the loss of his mother, since his mother was under impression that he was gone, that he was no longer with them. That completes the chapter, the reading for tonight. Y'all willing, we're able to pick up tomorrow in the book of Isaiah. And y'all willing, we have time to cover the teachings and the lessons of the only begotten Son, Yahushua HaMashiach, in the book of Matthew. Yeah. So yeah, that was the reading. That was the Torah reading of the night. And yeah, I'm gonna be looking forward to getting up early, y'all willing, to, continue this Torah reading in the book of Isaiah and the book of Matthew. Hallelujah, hallelujah, praise Yah. May all glory be to Yah, Yahuwah Shabbat, Yahuwah Almighty, Yahuwah El Shaddai, Yahuwah Most High. Thank you, Yahuwah. Thank you, Yahushua. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah. It was you who said that when 2 or 3 are gathered in your name, you are present, you are amongst us, you are with us. Since you are with us, Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, I ask that you help those who gathered in your name heal from whatever it is they need healing from. in whatever it is that they loved ones need healing from. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, I ask that you help those who are gathered in your name find comfort in whatever it is that we need to find comfort in whatever it is our loved ones need to find comfort in. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, since you are in our midst, I ask that you help us, those who are gathering in your name, find relief in whatever it is we need to find relief in, and whatever it is we need to find relief from. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, since you are in our midst, I ask that you help those who gather in your name be better spiritual children of your Father. Be better students of your teachings. Be better students of your lessons. Be better demonstrators of your demonstrations. Be better examples of your examples, in order to become disciples ourselves of your teachings, which is students of your teachings, and make disciples of the nations using your teachings. Make students of the nations using your teachings. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, since you are in our midst, I ask that you help us do better towards each other, do better at ruling over ourselves, ruling over the evil in our flesh, ruling over our flesh, depriving it of what it wants to do, what it wants to say, where it wants to go, and who it wants to be with. Master Yahushua HaMashiach, son of Yah, since you're in our midst, I ask that you help those who are gathered in your name, even though it's virtual. Help us forgive each other, forgive in order to be forgiven. Have mercy on each other in order to be shown mercy. Have compassion on each other in order to be shown compassion. And the toughest of it all, help us love our enemies. This is what you request that we have to, we have to come to doing. As hard as it may be, as tough as it may be, loving our enemies, doing good for those hating us, blessing those cursing us and persecuting us. Toughest decision for us to do, toughest obstacle for us to get, overcome. So I ask that you help us in this. Help us be better. Help us do better. Help us apply your teachings and your lessons. Help us. Let it be, Master. Let it be. Till next time, Shabbat Shalom. Peace and love. Peace and love. Shabbat Shalom.